Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people and some of the country's rising and biggest stars. One of my favourite comedians at the moment is Suzi Ruffell, who has an optimism about her I wish I had. How are you, Suzi?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm delicious, thank you. And it's great to talk to you because your act is one of sort of life is good. My life is one of, ugh, really? Is it me?
Yeah, I'm pretty upbeat most of the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of things annoy me. But I try to be as upbeat as possible because I think, some of the time when people come to comedy, I think if I just stood there moaning on stage, I'm not sure that they'd like it.
Well, Ramesh says he does that. He doesn't mind doing it.
Well, that's why it's so good that Ramesh and I are on tour together, because I'm so upbeat and then he's miserable, but hilarious. So it sort of works. I think if both of us were, I suppose if both of us were one way or the other, it would be too much of one thing. So I think that's why the tour's going so well, because we seem to complement each other quite nicely.
We should say that for the last few months and coming up this year, Ramesh Raghunathan and Suzi Ruffell will be on tour together. And as he says, you're ticking many boxes, and this is great if you want a government grant.
Yes, yeah, we're hoping for an Arts Council grant at some point. I'm gay, Ramesh is Asian. I mean, it seems like we're trying to piss off UKIP, if I'm honest. But just sort of doing a small tour of the country just to sort of make sure that everyone knows, hey guys, we're different, but we're cool.
Don't you think it's fantastic in 2015 we can make these jokes? Because I think only 5 or 10 years ago, the sort of left-footing Guardian types would be already complaining to Points of View saying you shouldn't be joking about such things, let alone putting on this type of show. We have moved on, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. I joke about it every time Ramesh and I are gigging together. This is, there'll be a collection at the end for, comics that are different, or it's just. I think it's important to joke. I think it's important to joke about anything. I think for me, there's nothing that's off the table really. Some things that are really dark, obviously, you wouldn't want to talk about. But I think that's one of the great things about comedy is being able to shine sort of a humorous light on sometimes difficult subjects.
Yeah. How difficult is it going from the lady that's opening for some of the biggest comedians in the world, like Alan Carr and Josh Widdicombe and Kevin Bridges, to then being the lady who's opening for herself because it's your show?
Well, it's very exciting. It was very scary to begin with. It's like I was quite nervous. I've done a lot of tour support, which I really enjoy doing, and Kevin, Alan and Josh are all just the nicest people. They're just lovely, and I had an absolute ball touring with them. And now, going out on my own, it's really nice that Rom and I are doing the tour together, because we're really good mates, and it's nice to have someone sort of backstage with you before you go on, and sort of get. Well, Rom doesn't get that excited, but I get quite excited, and Rom just sort of looks at me like I'm a small child. But yeah, it's been really, really fun. I was going into it sort of going, God, I hope it all works out, and I'll just go and do my best, and I've just been so delighted with all of the crowds. Have been fantastic, and a lot of people are coming, and they might not have heard of me. They will have heard of Ramesh because his telly profile is sort of getting bigger and bigger at the moment. But the audiences have just been wonderful. I think it's been really great to sort of see his kind of fan base, and hopefully some of them will at some point become a fan of mine. So it's been amazing. I was hoping that it would be really good fun, and it's just exceeded all of my expectations, to be honest.
I think you've every right to be. I've seen you on various programmes and on radio shows, and I'll tell you what it is about you. You have something you can't buy, which is warmth, and the people like you the second you walk on. I wonder why that's why you're so successful working with the likes of Alan Carr, because let's face it, when we go to see him, we're not really wanting to see you. It's a difficult job, isn't it, opening for those mega stars of comedy?
Yeah, it can be. Well, thank you for saying such kind things. Yeah, it can be. It can be a hard thing to do. The audience kind of a lot. Alan will always do. Well, when I was on the road with him, he would always sort of do the announcement or pop on stage and say, "Oh, I've got Suzi with me. She's my friend. I think she's really funny." Blah blah blah, and that would sort of make them think, "Oh, okay. Well, let's see how she is," and sort of be on my side a little bit. But some nights you'd have to work quite hard to be like, "Come on, guys!" But I think that I think it's kind of a good training ground, and I think when you're going on. At the moment when I'm sort of trying to make my name in comedy and, be as good a comedian as I can be, it's great to sort of put yourself in those situations, because you really have to work for it. When you're an unknown quantity to a group of people who have paid to see someone else, you've really got to go out there and sell it to them, to go, look, I know, I'm like the poppadoms. I'm sort of free, and I know that you're all looking forward to your like tikka masala, but the chef's still making it, and the tikka masala is in the building, but I'm just sort of the mango chutney and your poppadoms for the time being, and that's sort of what it's like. And I think as long as you're you go on there, you do the trick, but you don't want people to go, oh God, I had too many of them poppadoms, it really ruined my meal. So it's, you've still got to go in there, get the job done, make them laugh, warm them up, and then get off stage so they can see who they've come for.
You see, I'm from the north, so I don't really get your analogy, but I suppose you like the sweet corn in the bag of KFC, aren't you, really? I've got to eat it because it's the only good bit for you, but, you don't want to have too much of it.
Exactly. No, exactly. You're singing from the same song sheet.
What's your life like? I mean, I just spoke to Ramesh and he was telling me stories of how he had his car taken away because he couldn't make enough money. You're at a point now that you're touring your own show, so that's great. You've got people paying to see you. Was it tough at some points, or have you had a relatively blessed career?
Oh no, not at all. It still is tough occasionally because I'm so bad at money management. I'm one of those stupid people. For the first half of the month, I live like I'm P. Diddy. I'm like walking around, like buying stuff, going into the top, getting clothes, buying champagne. Second half of the month, I live like I'm Fagin from Oliver. Like I'm completely broke. I've got a team of small East London urchins running around stealing for me. No, it's up and down. Like at the moment, I'm sort of. It's easier than it's ever been, I guess. But it's like, oh God, yeah. I had years of doing dreadful jobs. I worked in a PR firm for years. I was terrible at so bad at my job, so bad at being a PA. I did that for years. I was a childminder for years. I used to childmind all day and then go to a gig in the evening. I remember working as a PA and having to drive to Liverpool after work, go and do a 10-minute spot for no money, because there's no money when you start. Yeah. And then getting back in the car, getting in at 3, and then being at work for 8 the next morning. I did that for probably 2 years, 3 years, when I was first sort of having a go at stand-up and trying to get promoters to see me and trying to get as enough stage time as possible. And in many respects, that time hasn't really gone for me just yet. It's getting easier, and I play all the clubs now. But it's a weird job where you go, there's no pension in this. There's no backup. If I'm ill for a week, I just don't get paid for a week. And it's it can be very sort of up and down like that. But no, I wouldn't say it's chance. I think if you ask my dad, he'd say it wouldn't say it's chance, because there have been occasions, when certainly in the last sort of 5 years, when his late 20s daughter had to ring him and go, mate, this is really embarrassing, but I ain't got no rent. Can you help? and that happens. But I think that's I love comedy and I love being a stand-up, and it's my dream for it all to work out. And so I think you go through those phases when you're completely broke, or I remember having to take sandwiches in the cars to my gigs so that I wouldn't have to stop and buy a sandwich, and stuff like that, and taking food with you, but that buzz that you get on stage, you forget about it instantly. You go, oh, it doesn't matter.
Having said that, I just turned 35 in January, and I thought to myself, Christ, I've got another 30 years at this. I'm not even halfway through.
I know.
It's certainly a marathon, not a sprint. And then you stand there and they don't get a laugh like you were expecting, or the crowd are a bit sort of Tuesday night bored and pissed off, and you've still got to carry on. How demoralising is that? How do you get over that? Because that's the thing I would find the most difficult to deal with.
It's really hard. I think to begin with, when you first start out, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to give up. I'm terrible. I hate myself. I hate my life. But then you sort of get used to it. The most liberating thing that I think I've realised in being a comic is that it's about opinion, and there's sort of something liberating when you go, I'm not for everyone.
Right.
And that's okay. That's actually great, because there are no comedians that are for everyone. Everyone will have a different favourite comic, or some people will some people will like one-liners, some people like storytelling, some people like surreal stuff. And I think all I ever really wanted is just a group of people that really like what I do. I'm not interested in being everyone's favourite. I just want a little core group of people that like my storytelling and like my sort of stories from my life and my jokes, and that's it really. But that doesn't make it any easier when you're on stage and you sort of go dun dun, and they don't laugh, and you go, God, this is horrible. I'm just going to have to plough through. It's like being in treacle.
Yes.
Sometimes you're just like, this is unbelievably tricky. I'm just going to have to try and swim for the next 20 minutes, and I'll see how I get on. But the elation of when it is all working and when it's like nothing else. It's like a drug. It's amazing. It's so much fun.
And I guess the next step for you is these TV quiz shows, which I know you're going to be great on. I've heard you on the radio, particularly Radio 4 in the past, and you do really well at that. You come across so well. Is that an ambition? Because they can be kind of competitive, those shows, and traditionally some people, especially women, just can't be asked to fight these comedians that are going to overshout each other to get the next knob gag in next.
I think that some of them are great. I'm not fans of others of them. If it comes up at some point, sure, I'm sure it'd be fun to do, and I'd hope that I'd do it without, going in with sort of the best attitude possible. And yeah, I think sometimes it can be a bit of a cockfight in those situations, but I think you just sort of go in and do your best. There are girls that do brilliant on them, Catherine Ryan and Sarah Pascoe, and those girls, they've just found a way to do that, to do it. And if the opportunities come up and it's right, and I think I do a good job, then it would be really good fun to do that. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying just being on the road and just learning my craft. I feel like comedy feels like an apprenticeship, and I've been doing it for 5 years now. About 3 of those years full-time, professional, proper comic, and 2 of them driving through the night and then working all day. Yeah. And I feel like I've got so much further to go in working out exactly, it's a learning curve. I think, and I hope that even when I'm, in my 60s, if I'm still doing it, I've still got lots to learn. So
how sexy is it on the road for you now on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, staying with Rom in a premiere in doesn't sound that glamorous. Can it be sexy?
It's not. It's not sexy. But it's really good fun. The hours are long and you're away from home a lot. And I know it's particularly hard for Ron when he's away from his kids and his wife and stuff. But it is really good fun. We do have a really good laugh. I think that's the thing of being I've been really lucky that all the guys that I've toured with have ended up becoming mates. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I can't imagine being on tour with someone that you didn't get on with. It would be hell. But I've been really lucky that the guys, Josh, Al, touring with Rom, Kevin, they're all such nice blokes. It's all just been a laugh. You go and do the show, you have a drink after. It's really good fun. But sure, I'll be honest. One day I'd like to get slightly higher up than the Premier Inn. But you know what? At the moment, it's completely fine. You can't moan.
I think you're doing fine as you are. Stop putting yourself down. Great to talk to you. Let's give your website. What's your website for people who want to find tickets and more information?
www.suziruffell.co.uk. The tour runs. I think that we've got about 6 weeks left of it. We're going all over the country: Leeds, Edinburgh, Hull, and York next week. And then, if any of your listeners are interested in just coming to see me, I'm doing my show by myself at the Museum of Comedy, which is in the West End, the first weekend in May. I think it's or maybe the second. It's the 6th to the 9th.
Brilliant.
And so, yeah. But thanks so much for chatting to me.
No, I can't wait to see you. I think you're so talented and you have such a great warmth, and that, I think, is the key to comedy. If people don't like you when you walk on, you're never going to make them laugh, and that's a gift you've got. Ramesh Ranganathan and, of course, Suzi Ruffell will be on tour through the rest of the year, and you can find out more by going to suziruffell.co.uk. Great to talk to you. Thanks, Suzi.
Thank you so much. Cheers then. Bye-bye.